After her nephew watches a cursed tape, a reporter teams up with two farmer brothers to save him, while helping the president fight off an alien invasion. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, Scary Movie 3, from 2003. On a rainy night, two friends, Katie and Becca, are watching TV in their bedroom and talking about scary stories. In the middle of the conversation, Becca talks about the legend of a mysterious videotape, which contains disturbing images. According to this legend, whoever watches the tape receives a phone call and a voice warns them that they will be eliminated in 7 days. Katie then reveals that she watched the tape in secret with her boyfriend, and Becca starts to make fun of her friend. However, the banter between the two soon comes to an end when, at midnight, the phone starts ringing. Becca answers, and fortunately, it's only her mother, so Katie goes back to her room. During the call, thunder causes a power cut throughout the house. The power comes back on seconds later, and Becca goes to look for her friend. She climbs the stairs and notices that the floor in front of her room is wet. Even though she's frightened, she opens the door and finds Katie, who in some macabre way has gone from bad to better. Becca doesn't understand what has happened until a frightening-looking girl appears from the television. She quickly leaves the screen and sets out to attack the young woman, who becomes yet another victim of this evil spirit. Far away, on a farm, a farmer named Tom wakes up to the sound of screams and gets up, only to find himself facing a huge lamp. The screams continue and seem to be from his daughter, Sue. After changing his clothes, he meets up with his brother, George, and the two of them set off in search of the girl. They realize that her screams are coming from the cornfield and run there, only for Tom to be hit by several ears of corn on the way. Even so, he doesn't give up and finds Sue, who is screaming at the sight of the cornfield all destroyed. Neither of them understands what this means, but in the distance, can be seen a message written on the spot, which says "attack here." Later, on a TV news program, reporter Cindy Campbell talks about the strange signal on the farm, which could be a sign of a possible alien invasion. However, no one takes her seriously, not even her coworker. After the broadcast, the reporter goes to talk to her director and asks him to do more investigations into the story. However, he tells her that people don't care about stories like this and tells her to focus on news that gets more viewers. Back at the farm, Tom tries to get on with his routine after the strange signs in the cornfield. At the same time, George leaves home to pursue his new dream of becoming a rapper. When he sees this, Tom scolds him and tells him that he's continuing with his teenage fantasies instead of getting on with his life. George replies that Tom has lost faith in people after what happened to his wife, and that he doesn't see his brother's potential. During the argument, George gets on the bus and says that he will have a career after winning the rap battle. However, before he can argue any further, the bus doors slam shut, leaving George's head trapped, but the vehicle continues on its way. Hours later, at a school, Cindy arrives to pick up her nephew, Cody. At that moment, she sees the boy drawing macabre pictures, but soon puts this aside when she meets her friend, teacher Brenda. The two chat excitedly about their attempts at relationships, until suddenly George turns up to take Sue home. Cindy falls in love at first sight and the two recognize each other thanks to the story about the signs on the farm. George takes advantage of the conversation to invite her and her friend to the rap battle, and although Brenda doubts that he really is a rapper, they both accept. A few minutes later, Cindy and Cody go to the car, but the boy is annoyed because his aunt is late picking him up again. On the road, she tries to make up for her mistake, but realizes she's left Cody in the middle of the road. She drives back to pick up her nephew, without realizing that he was running across the road to catch up with her. As a result, the two crash and Cody is thrown far away, but miraculously, he survives the accident. When evening comes, Cindy prepares to watch the rap battle. She talks to Cody before going and finds the boy with more strange drawings, this time about a mysterious girl in a well. Although she finds it strange, she goes to the show. There, she meets Brenda, who says she's nervous about the TV news and asks Cindy to accompany her home after the show. Meanwhile, George arrives at the venue, Eminem style, and meets up with his friends, Mahalik and CJ. He's nervous and asks how many people are there, and Mahalik says that there are about 200 guys who will take down anyone who doesn't know how to rap. This makes him even more worried, but his friends decide to support him no matter what. Minutes later, the big moment arrives and the rap battles begin. A few duels take place between the rappers until, finally, it's George's turn. However, he's up against none other than the Bronx champion, rapper Fat Joe. The battle begins and Fat Joe humiliates George with rhymes and catchphrases about him being a farmer and not a real rapper. The audience gets excited and then it's George's turn, but he has no idea what he's going to say. Fortunately, from the audience, he meets Cindy, who cheers him on, and this gives him more motivation to keep going. Then, the amateur rapper surprises everyone with his rhymes, which are about making real rap, no matter what your origins are. Thanks to his strong phrases, the audience chooses George as the champion of the battle and everyone celebrates, especially Cindy. However, in the excitement of the moment, the farmer rapper puts on the hood of his jacket and unintentionally causes an absurd fuss about his clothing. The crowd is outraged and they throw George out of the club window. Miraculously, he wasn't hurt, but he decides to give up his career as a rapper for good. After the show, Cindy accompanies Brenda home. There, she says she's nervous because she's watched the cursed tape and today marks the 7 days of the legend. After telling her this, Brenda becomes even more worried and out of nowhere, her nose starts bleeding. She suffers convulsions and her hand catches fire. Cindy is frightened by all of this, but in reality, it's just a sick joke on her friend's part. The reporter is annoyed by this, but Brenda tells her not to take it so seriously and goes to fetch the bucket of popcorn from the living room. At that moment, the television turns on by itself and even though Brenda turns it off, it remains on, even without the power. Then the TV starts leaking water and an image of a well in a forest appears on the screen. Then the cursed girl comes out of the well, crosses the TV screen and sets off to attack Brenda. However, the girl doesn't let this frighten her and sets out to attack her. The cursed girl tries to throw punches, but Brenda grabs her by the forehead and lands a right uppercut. She then punches and headbutts the ghost girl, who becomes enraged and hits back with a kick. As the fight intensifies, Cindy hears everything, but thinks it's just another prank by Brenda. However, when she goes into the living room to check on her friend, she finds her lifeless on the other side of the sofa. The next morning, George receives this news and tells Sue what has happened to her teacher, but he does it in the worst possible way and the girl screams in despair. Tom is annoyed by George's attitude and leaves the house to get some air. Outside, he meets Seaman, the same man who accidentally ran over his wife Annie years ago. This encounter reminds him of the tragic day he lost her. While driving at night, Tom sees an accident in the middle of the road. The local sheriff tells him that his wife has crashed into a truck and smashed into a tree. Miraculously, she stays alive thanks to her car, which is still running. When he hears this, Tom goes to see her off to say goodbye, but the car's battery goes off and takes Annie with it. Later, at Brenda's house, her parents organize the funeral in the living room. Cindy talks to them to let off steam and, shortly afterwards, George turns up, along with his niece, Sue. Cindy invites him to pay his last respects to Brenda, whose body is on display in an open coffin. Seeing the woman, George believes he can bring her back to life and does his best to help her regain consciousness. He tries to give her a heart massage and even slaps her face, but to no avail. As a result, the whole place goes crazy and Brenda's father tries to get George away. Just then, Mahalik also arrives on the scene and when he sees his friend being pushed, he sets out to save him. Mahalik punches Brenda's father and the rest of the guests and then tries to resuscitate Brenda too. His efforts are futile, but Mahalik doesn't give up and climbs on top of the coffin to keep trying. The girl's father becomes enraged and climbs up to get the man off, but the weight of the two of them causes the coffin to fall to the ground. With no other choice, George grabs the wires from a lamp and tries to shock Brenda back to life, but instead he causes a huge electrical explosion. Because of all this confusion, Brenda's father throws George out of the house, but Cindy comes out to support him and confesses her feelings for him. After saying goodbye to George, Cindy returns to the wake and Brenda's mother tells her about a mysterious tape. The reporter then goes to her friend's room to get the tape and investigate further. At night, Cindy is at home and decides to watch the cursed tape. Just as the legend said, the tape shows frightening and illogical scenes about the girl from the well. The tape ends and as Cindy feared, the phone rings and a voice tells her that she will be eliminated in 7 days. Frightened by this, she calls George, who immediately goes to her house, along with Mahalik and CJ. There, she explains the whole situation and, even though George doesn't believe her, CJ tells him that she knows someone who knows about this legend. Cindy orders him to tell her who it is and CJ tells her that his aunt, Shaniqua, can help her. The reporter sets off to find her, but first she asks George to look after Cody overnight. When she arrives at the right address, she meets Aunt Shaniqua, who for some mysterious reason reminds her of the Oracle from the Matrix. The mysterious woman lives with her husband, Orpheus, and seems to have the gift of prophecy. She knows that Cindy is there because of the tape and that the curse it contains is related to the signs on the farm and a possible alien invasion. She then asks Cindy to put the tape in the VCR and in the middle of the scenes, a mysterious lighthouse appears. Orpheus suggests that the journalist find the location of the lighthouse, but in the middle of the recording, the image of a woman with a fly on her nose appears. In some supernatural way, the fly becomes real and Aunt Shaniqua tries to hit it with a fly swatter. However, the woman in the video senses the blow and strikes back, but the Oracle won't let it go and the two start an insane fight. Hours later, Cindy returns home to find George unconscious on the table. To make matters worse, Cody has watched the cursed tape and soon afterwards, the phone rings and announces that the boy only has 7 more days to live. Cindy realizes that there is only one way to save him: to find the lighthouse shown on the tape and uncover the great secret about the girl in the well. Meanwhile, at the farm, Tom hears strange sounds in Sue's room. When he enters, he finds his daughter under a sheet and acting strangely. Tom removes the sheet and, to his surprise, finds none other than Michael Jackson. Despite his shock, he demands to know where his daughter is, but the king of pop has no idea where the girl is. Tom doesn't believe him and throws punches at the invader, but thanks to his speed and his moonwalking, Michael dodges all the attacks. Even so, Tom manages to grab him and pin him to the window, but Michael falls out the other side, leaving only a false nose. Tom rushes to find out who the intruder was and discovers that the king of pop's appearance was just a disguise, possibly from an alien. The next day, Cindy finds the lighthouse on a remote island. When she enters it, she finds a room full of screens, controlled by a man known only as the Architect. Similar to the creator of the Matrix, the old man says that he has been watching Cindy for a long time and that she is the only one capable of stopping the girl from the well. The Architect reveals that the girl is his adopted daughter, called Tabata. However, he says that his daughter behaved violently, which led his wife to throw her down the well. Before she perished, Tabata put her evil on this tape, which her father accidentally gave to a video store because he thought it was a movie he had forgotten to return. Since then, the cursed tape has claimed other victims and, it seems, Tabata has also used it to summon the alien invasion. Cindy knows she has to inform the world about this, but soon the news about the aliens starts appearing in all the newspapers. The whole macabre story is reported to the President of the United States. However, he is about to present the Mother Teresa Award at a conference and doesn't want to cause any more panic. After the event is over, the President talks to one of his agents and suspects that there are aliens in disguise in the room. He tries to escape, but when one of the participants approaches, the President becomes desperate and punches him. Because of this coup, the whole place goes crazy and the President, along with his agents, start beating and shooting everyone. The confusion gets worse and worse, but the President takes the opportunity to escape and look for Cindy, the reporter who knows about the tape and the aliens. Meanwhile, Cindy looks for Cody at home, but can't find him and suspects he's at George's house. To make matters worse, Cindy discovers that her newspaper has obtained a copy of the cursed tape and is showing the video on TV, which will only result in more victims within 7 days. Nevertheless, she goes to the farm and finds Cody, who is under George's care. However, there is no time to lose and Cindy helps George and Tom to fortify the house. After that, they all go down to the basement to protect themselves from the aliens and the girl on the tape. Just then, someone tries to get through the door and the lights go out, causing George to scream with fear. However, the invaders can't get through and it was George himself who fiddled with the switch and accidentally turned off the light. Nevertheless, Tom asks his brother to get a log so that they can jam the door. To the farmer misfortune, George accidentally hits Tom with the log. However, despite the unbearable pain, he manages to reinforce the door so that no one else can get in. Only seconds later, Cody is pulled out by hands coming from the boiler. George quickly grabs a baseball bat and runs to save him, but his blows hit the boy more than anything else. Finally, Cody manages to escape from the boiler and then it's revealed that Mahalik was the one holding him. He has come to help George fight the aliens and, together with Tom, they leave the basement to face the invaders. Armed with shovels, the three search for the aliens, without realizing that 2 of them were following them. Luckily, a car runs over the aliens and out of it comes the President of the United States. He says he has come to find Cindy because he believes she is the only one capable of resolving this crisis. However, moments later, several alien spaceships appear in the sky. Hopes seemed to be lost, until at that moment, several cars appeared on the farm. Along came CJ, who had brought his heavily armed friends to help in the fight against the aliens. The problem is that his friends start arguing with each other and, before they can face the aliens, they fight each other and fall defeated. The situation only gets worse when more aliens appear and try to eliminate everyone there. Nevertheless, Mahalik manages to break free and uses his shovel to hit one of them on the head. However, the aliens say that they are not there to attack them, but to ask for help, as they too have watched the cursed tape. So if they don't do something about it, their entire species will be extinct within 7 days. Mahalik doesn't believe this, as they tried to eliminate them minutes before, but the aliens reply that this is how they greet each other, and that to say goodbye, they give them a very painful kick. With everything sorted out, humans and aliens come together to solve the problem, but But the danger isn't over yet. Inside the house, Cindy continues to investigate the basement and discovers that the farm was built on top of the well where Tabata was thrown. At the same moment, the cursed girl appears behind Cindy and attacks her, but the lights begin to fail and Tabata stumbles. Nevertheless, the girl picks up a chainsaw and threatens to use it against Cindy. In response, she pulls out another machine, but soon realizes that it's just a huge leaf blower. Tabata then starts swinging the chainsaw in the air, but it causes a piece of the ceiling to fall right on top of her. Cindy seizes the chance and grabs a crowbar to finish the girl off, only for her to grab Cody and threaten to eliminate him. George then arrives on the scene and tries to save the boy with an axe, but knowing how clumsy he is, Cody hugs Tabata. Finally, Cindy tries to resolve everything without violence and promises to take care of the girl and make her part of the family, along with George and Cody. Tabata gets emotional when she hears this and then lets go of the boy and returns to her normal form. However, seconds later, she reveals that she was only joking and sets out to attack everyone there. To her misfortune, the president opens the basement door and slams it into Tabata, who falls into the well. George seizes the chance to put a lid on and seal the well completely. Thanks to this, Tabata's curse will never be revived. When all the trouble is over, one of the aliens arrives in the basement and thanks everyone for saving his species. George says goodbye, but remembers the hard way that saying goodbye to aliens is very painful. Sometime later, Cindy and George finally get married on the farm with the blessing of Tom, who has returned to being a pastor. All their friends are gathered, including Brenda, whose body was taken by Mahalik to attend the wedding. Finally, the big moment comes to throw the bride's bouquet. Cindy throws it and several women jump to catch it, but the big winner is the President of the United States. Afterwards, the happy couple set off in their car, now as a real family. George and Cindy are so happy that, once again, they forget about Cody, who was left in the middle of the road. The boy runs and calls for his new parents and George speeds off to catch up with him. For a moment, Cody thinks he's going to be run over by him, but George stops at the last second. After this fright, the boy breathes a sigh of relief, but before he knows it, another car appears and throws him far away. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.